Sunday evening. It's that obligatory family dinner again, which Mom presents as an important time for family bonding, but to me is a weekly torture. I glance at my watch. 18:30. I have exactly an hour and a half to serve this duty and get back to my laptop, where I have an unfinished code waiting for me to bypass one of the nifty defenses I discovered last week. Adrienne, are you in the clouds again? Marian's voice pulls me out of my thoughts. So tell me, what's new in your virtual world? Still playing hacker? I look up from the plate of casserole my mom's been making every Sunday for 20 years. Marian sits across from me in her perfectly ironed pale pink dress, her impeccable styling, and the smile she's practiced for years in front of the mirror. The perfect daughter, the perfect sister, perfect in everything. At least that's what my parents think. I'm not playing hacker, Marian, I answer in a steady voice. I work with security systems. Marian rolls her eyes theatrically. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Important. You sit in your room in front of a screen and think this is work. Where's your office? Where are your coworkers? Where's your career ladder? I have a remote job, I say, knowing this is a useless conversation. Remote work, Marian teases, winking at her father. It even sounds like an excuse. Father snickers, not taking a break from his portion. Liam Thorkildson was never much of a talker, especially when it came to my interests. A long-haul truck driver, he's always believed that real work is something tangible, something you can touch with your hands. Computers were toys to him, not tools. Adrienne's always had some strange hobbies, Mom interjects as she pours her father another serving. Remember, Liam, when she was 12? When she took our computer apart and put it back together again? And it didn't work for 2 weeks, Marian adds with a smirk. It did work, I counter quietly. You just plugged in the wrong cable. See? Marian throws up her hands theatrically. Always excuses. I don't answer, chewing mechanically on a piece of meat. The casserole is oversalted today, but no one notices. Or doesn't want to notice. In our family, we don't criticize Mom's cooking. How's your new position, Marian? Mom asks proudly. A marketing specialist at a technology company. It sounds so solid. Marian straightens up in her chair, ready to talk about her recent promotion for the 100th time. Everything's great, Mom. We're launching a new campaign next month, and my idea was chosen as the lead idea. The director personally complimented me at the meeting. You've always been so creative, admires Mom. Remember, Liam, her drawings in elementary school? The teachers said she had talent. I hold back the urge to roll my eyes. Yes, Marian could draw cute horses when she was 8 years old. She also knew how to charm people with her smile and always knew what to say to please them. These skills proved far more useful than my ability to understand how systems work and find vulnerabilities in them. Yes, Mom, Marian said with that special look on her face that she gets when she's ready to strike. By the way, did you know that NextSec, where I work, is looking for specialists in the IT department? Maybe Adrienne could try out. At least they'll teach her something useful instead of this, hacking. Mom perks up. That's a great idea. What do you think, Adrienne? A real job in an office with people. That would be great for you. I picture myself in the IT department, explaining to the next manager why you can't open all attachments in emails with the subject line, your winnings, and I shudder mentally. Thank you, but I already have a job, I say, and this time I don't even try to hide my irritation. You call this a job? Marian snorts. Sitting in your room in your pajamas and pressing keys? That's not work, Adrienne. That's avoiding real life. I'm looking at my big sister. 32 years old, flawless makeup, a name brand dress she bought at a discount, but tells everyone she paid full price. Marian has always had a knack for creating the image of success, but I know that she changes rented apartments every 6 months because she can't afford something stable in Round Rock, despite her prestigious position. Sometimes I even wear shorts, I say with a nonchalant look, and my father suddenly snorts with laughter, immediately masking it with a cough when Marian gives him an exasperated look. Very funny, she says. You're 27 years old, Adrienne. Isn't it time you grew up? And you're 32, Marian, I counter. Isn't it time you stopped worrying about what your little sister is doing? Girls, please, Mom interjects in that special tone she uses when she wants to avoid conflict. Let's just enjoy our dinner. Liam, tell me about your trip to Cincinnati. My dad starts monotonously talking about road work and diesel prices, and I mentally disconnect, returning to my code problem. Maybe if you take a different approach? And that's when the director said my presentation was the most convincing. Marion's voice breaks through my thoughts again. She continues her never-ending tale of work. You know, management values employees who can represent the company, communicate with clients. It's not like sitting in a dark room like some trog. I'll give you a hint. What? Marion frowns. A troglodyte, a caveman. Is that what you meant to say? I just mean that there's a difference between real professionals and people who... Well, who what? I look her right in the eye. Who pretend to have a career, Marion finishes. Seriously, Adrienne, what do you really do? Crack passwords to other people's social media accounts? That's illegal, you know that? I clutch my fork so hard my knuckles turn white. 3 years I've been working with companies all over the world, testing their systems for vulnerabilities. 3 years I've been sleeping 4 hours a night, combining projects and self-education. 3 years of saving every extra dollar so that one day I can buy my own place and not see that condescending look on my sister's face. Marion, I try to speak calmly, I do legal pen testing. Companies pay me to find vulnerabilities in their systems before the real hackers do. It's called ethical hacking, and it's a recognized profession in information security. Do the companies pay you? Marion raises an eyebrow with such skepticism that I can almost hear her mentally add, yeah, sure. How much? $5 for the break-in? Enough to not have to worry about money, I reply, deliberately avoiding a specific amount. I make 2.5 times as much as Marion, but there's no point in talking about it. They won't believe me. If you're so successful, why do you still live with your parents? Marion delivers her signature punch. Because I'm saving for a house, I want to say. Because unlike you, I don't spend money on designer clothes and restaurants to impress people I don't really care about. But instead, I just shrug. It's more convenient. Sure. Marion smiles victoriously. Especially with Mom doing your laundry and cooking your dinners. I pay for utilities and groceries, I remind her. And I do my own laundry. Kids, that's enough, Dad finally intervenes. We just want you to be happy, Adrienne, and have a normal job like your sister. A normal job. It's always the same. In my parents' mind, a normal job is an office, co-workers, corporate Fridays, and complaining about the boss over Sunday dinner. The fact that I can work from anywhere and be my own boss sounds like irresponsibility to them. I'm happy, Dad, I say. And it's partly true. I'm happy when I'm working, when I find vulnerability that no one else has noticed, when I see my reputation grow in the professional community. I'm only unhappy here at this table, listening to my family devalue everything I've accomplished. You could be happier, Mom sighs. With real friends, maybe even a boyfriend. Do you remember Brian Holt, Linda's son from my book club? He's recently divorced and... Mom, I'm cutting her off. Please don't. I just want what's best for you, honey, Mom says in that special tone she always uses when she wants to emphasize that I'm disappointing her. Marion, feeling supported, continues. You know, Adrienne, you should listen to Mom. You're not getting any younger, and this, activities, is not the most attractive aspect to potential partners. Men like women who are, well, more social. I look at my watch, 19:15, 45 more minutes of this torture. Do you have a boyfriend, Marion? I ask in an innocent tone, knowing full well that her last 3 relationships have ended in disaster. Marion instantly tenses up. My career comes first right now, but at least I'm going on dates and meeting people, not sitting in a dark room with a computer. When was the last time you went on a date? I continue, knowing it's a low blow, but too tired to hold back. Adrienne, Mom exclaims. It's inappropriate. Is it decent to talk about my personal life all the time? I retort. We're just worried, Mom says conciliatory. You've always been so special. We just want you to be like all normal girls. Like all normal girls. Another phrase I've heard my whole life. Being like everyone else was the highest value in my parents' eyes. Don't stand out, don't fall out of line. Marion, with her standard career and standard ambitions, is the ideal. Me with my unconventional interests is the problem that needs fixing. I think I should go, I say, pushing my plate away. I still have work to do. Of course you do, Marion snorts. Your important hacking can't wait. I don't answer, just get up from the table. Thanks for dinner, Mom. You won't even eat dessert? Mom asks reproachfully. I made your favorite apple pie. It's not my favorite pie, it's Marion's favorite. I prefer blueberry. But after 27 years of living in this house, I've stopped correcting them. Sorry, really have to go, I say. Maybe I'll take a slice with me. I walk out of the dining room, feeling the stares on my back. They're probably about to start discussing my behavior, my unwillingness to be normal, my stubbornness. The usual. In my room, I fall on my bed and close my eyes. It's the same thing every time. Every damn Sunday dinner. I could stop attending them, but that would only reinforce their belief that there's something wrong with me. I open my laptop and get back to work. Code, numbers, systems. Everything makes sense here. Here I know what I'm doing, and others know it too. In professional circles, the name Adrienne Thorkildsen is already starting to be heard. 3 months ago, I found a critical vulnerability in a major bank system, and they paid me a handsome reward. 2 months ago, I was invited to speak at a cybersecurity conference in Austin. My phone vibrates. A message from Tasha, my only real friend since high school. How was the family dinner from hell? I smile. Tasha knows my family all too well. The usual, Marion shined, I was disappointing. Never mind. By the way, remember that job opening at NextSec? They're still looking for a director of security. You should apply. I hum. NextSec Technologies is a growing cloud security company based right here in Round Rock. I've been following them for a while, and they're doing some interesting things. But a director of security? That's a serious position, requiring management experience and... My phone vibrates again. Adrienne, I'm serious. You're more than qualified. Stop underestimating yourself. Tasha works as an administrator at the city library, but she's always believed in me more than I believe in myself. She was there for me when I decided at 16 that I wanted to pursue computer security, and when my parents refused to pay for the courses, thinking it was a waste of money. She lent me her old laptop when mine broke, and I couldn't afford a new one. They're looking for someone with formal education, I reply. Not true, I checked. They want experience and skills, and you have both. I hesitate. I've been freelancing for the past 3 years, doing projects for various companies. I have a good reputation and portfolio, but a full-time job and even in a management position. Think about it. Tasha writes, this is your chance to prove to everyone, especially your arrogant sister, what you're worth. At the mention of Marion, I involuntarily clench my teeth. Marion, who works in NextSec's marketing department and thinks she's so successful. Marion, who just mocked my fake job. Imagine her face if I became the director of security at her company. No, that's a stupid reason to make a career decision. But on the other hand, why not? I'm really qualified. I really want to move forward in my career. And yes, part of me really wants to prove to my family that they've been wrong about me all these years. Okay, I reply to Tasha. I'll send them a resume tomorrow. Already did it for you. What? Just kidding, but seriously, do it tomorrow. Promise? I smile. Tasha always knew how to push me. Promise. The next morning, I update my resume and send in my application. I don't hold out much hope for a response. These companies are usually inundated with hundreds of resumes for every job opening. But to my surprise, 2 days later I get a call inviting me for an interview. The first interview takes place via video link. The recruiter is impressed with my experience and projects. The second interview with the company's CTO includes practical tasks on vulnerability detection. I pass them all in record time. And then, a week after sending in my resume, I get a call from Willem Grimes, CEO of NextSec Technologies. Ms. Thorkildsen, I'm impressed with your skills and approach to work, he says without preamble. Our company needs people like you. We would like to offer you the position of Director of Information Security. I sit stunned as he tells me the salary, which is 3 times my current income, not to mention the benefits package and stock options. When can you start work? He asks. In 2 weeks, I answer automatically. Great. Our HR department will contact you for the paperwork. Welcome to the team, Miss Thorkildsen. The call ends and I'm still sitting there, staring at the phone. Director of Information Security, at the company where Marion works. I'm not even sure how to respond. My phone rings again. It's Tasha. Well? She exclaims. Did they call? What did they say? I got the job, I say, still not believing my own words. They offered me the position of Director of Security. Tasha lets out a squeal so loud I have to move the phone away from my ear. I knew it. I knew you'd get the job. You're the smartest person I know, Adrienne. This is crazy, I say. I'm gonna be in charge of an entire department. I hesitate, but then I say, and I'll be above Marion in rank. A lot higher. Tasha laughs. Oh, I'd love to see her face when she finds out. Have you told yours yet? No, I shake my head, though she can't see it. Yeah, I don't even know how to tell them. They won't believe me. Then don't tell them, Tasha suggests. Let it be a surprise, especially for your dear sister. I think about it. Part of me wants to call my parents immediately and tell them about my success. The other part of me knows they'll find a way to devalue this accomplishment as well. Maybe you're right, I finally say. Let it be a surprise. I hang up the phone and look out the window at the quiet street of Round Rock. Something inside me has changed. For the first time in a long time, I feel not just satisfaction at a job well done, but real pride. And maybe a little anticipation for when Marion finds out that her little sister, loser Adrienne, has become her boss. First day at the new job. I stand in front of the Nexsec Technologies building a 10-story glass tower on the outskirts of Round Rock and try to calm the nervous trembling in my hands. I'm wearing the navy blue suit I bought especially for this occasion, my hair in a neat bun, minimal makeup. I want to look professional and serious. I want it to be obvious at first glance that I'm here for a reason. You must be Miss Thorkildsen, a voice says behind me. I turn around and see a tall man in his mid-40s with a streak in his dark hair and attentive gray eyes. Willem Grimes, we spoke on the phone. Yes, hello. I extend my hand for a handshake, making sure it's firm. Nice to meet you in person. Likewise, he smiles, and his face immediately looks younger. Ready for the first day? More than ready, I answer, hoping my voice sounds more confident than I feel. Good. Then let me show you your new home. We walk through the glass doors into the spacious hallway. Grimes leads me to the elevators, talking about the company, its history and vision. The elevator takes us to the 8th floor, where the management offices are located. Here's your office, Grimes says, opening the door to a corner room with panoramic windows. I hope you enjoy the view. I walk in and am speechless for a moment. The office is 3 times the size of my bedroom at home. A modern dark wood desk, an ergonomic chair, several latest model monitors, and the view of Round Rock, all the way to the horizon. It's gorgeous, I say sincerely. I'm glad you like it. Your team is downstairs. I'll introduce you to everyone this afternoon. For now, I'll give you a quick tour of the building so you can get your bearings. Grimes spends the next 2 hours showing me around the various department offices, conference rooms, server rooms. We meet many employees, and I try to memorize names and faces. Everyone is friendly and seems genuinely excited to meet me. When we pass the marketing department on the 3rd floor, I involuntarily tense up. Through the glass partitions, I can see several people sitting at computers or discussing something at the whiteboard. Marion is not among them, and I feel both relieved and disappointed. Marketing is one of our most dynamic departments, Grimes says. They're responsible for the entire external image of the company. Would you like to come in and meet them? Maybe later, I reply. Right now, I'd rather see my team. Sure, Grimes nods. Then let's go up to the 7th floor. My team, the Information Security Department, consists of 7 people, each with their own specialty. Brandon is in charge of network security, Leah is in charge of penetration testing, Sam is in charge of malware defense, and so on. They all look a little tense as they get to know each other, and I understand them. A new boss is always apprehensive. You'll have time to get to know each other, Grimes says. Now, Miss Thorkildsen, I suggest lunch. We have an excellent dining room on the 1st floor. Over lunch, Grimes talks about the company's current projects and the challenges facing the security department. I listen intently, asking questions, making mental notes. It all seems serious, but doable. Now, Grimes says as we finish our dessert, let's talk about your probationary period. 3 months as usual, but I'm sure with your skills it will be a mere formality. Thank you for your trust, I reply. I won't let you down. I know, he smiles. You have a reputation for not giving up. That's exactly what we need. After lunch, the official team introductions begin. We gather in the conference room, and Grimes introduces me as the new CIO. I notice a mixture of curiosity and skepticism on the faces of the employees. I look younger than many of them, and they probably doubt my experience. Miss Thorkildsen may be young, Grimes says, as if reading their minds, but she has an impressive track record. She's found security vulnerabilities in several major companies, including some that were considered impenetrable. I'm confident that under her leadership, our security department will be taken to the next level. I can feel myself blushing at those words, but I try to maintain a professional demeanor. When Grimes finishes, I briefly introduce myself and promise to meet with each employee individually in the coming days. After the meeting, I return to my new office and try to make sense of what has happened. It all seems unreal. My own office, a team, real power and responsibility. Until 2 weeks ago, I was working from my bedroom, and now I'm sitting in the director's chair. My phone vibrates, a message from Tasha. So how's the first day of the big boss? Have you fired anyone yet? I smile. Not yet, but the day isn't over yet. Have you seen your dear sister? I sigh. No, thankfully. But it's only a matter of time. I put my phone away and turn to the computer. It's time to get to work. The first thing I do is review the security reports from the last 6 months, trying to get an overall picture of the current state of the company's systems. An hour later, there's a knock at the door. It's Leah, the penetration testing specialist. Sorry to bother you, she says. I was wondering if you needed help with the reports. There's quite a lot of them. Thank you, that would be helpful, I reply with a smile. Come on in. Leah and I spend the next 2 hours going through the documentation. She turns out to be an excellent specialist and a nice person. We find a common language, discussing different testing methods, and sharing our experience. You know, Leah says when we finish, I was a little worried when I found out that we would have a new director. But it seems that you will be interesting to work with. I hope so, I reply sincerely. Thank you for your help. After Leah leaves, I decide to take a walk around the building to get more familiar with the surroundings. When I pass the marketing department, I slow down. Suddenly, I see her. Marion is standing at the whiteboard, emotionally explaining something to her coworkers. She looks confident in her expensive suit, with impeccable hair and makeup. Typical Marion, always on display, always the center of attention. I quickly turn away and walk past her, hoping she hasn't noticed me. I need time to prepare for this meeting. Not now, not on the first day. Back in the office, I dive into my work, trying not to think about the inevitable meeting with my sister. By the end of the day, I have a preliminary plan for improving the company's security and send it to Grimes. As I'm about to leave, I get an email back. Impressive for a first day. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the morning management meeting, 8:30 Conference Room A. I smile, feeling a mixture of pride and anxiety. Tomorrow everything could change. The next morning I get to the office before everyone else at 7:45. I want to get ready for the meeting, go over my notes again. At 8:25 I head to Conference Room A, located on the 9th floor. When I enter, several people are already seated there, including Grimes. He introduces me. There's the CFO, the CTO, the HR director, and the head of development. Here's our marketing director, Grimes says as the door opens. I turn around and see a tall man of about 45 with balding hair and glasses. Kevin Durant, he introduces himself, shaking my hand. Nice to meet you. I exhale with relief. Marion isn't the director, she's just a member of the department. That makes things a little easier. The meeting is productive. We discuss current projects, quarterly plans, budget issues. I present my plan to improve safety, and it gets the approval of my coworkers. After the meeting, Grimes approaches me. "Good job, Miss Thorkildsen. You're quickly becoming a part of the team." "Thank you," I reply. "I'm trying." "By the way, I have a little favor to ask of you," he continues. "The marketing department is preparing a new campaign and they need security advice. Could you meet with their lead specialist this afternoon?" My heart skips a beat. The lead marketing specialist. The likelihood of it being Marion is too high. "Sure," I say, trying to keep my voice sounding normal. "What time?" 14 o'clock, if that's convenient for you. I'll ask her to come to your office. Her. Then it's definitely Marion. "Okay," I nod. "I'll be waiting." Back in my office, I try to concentrate on my work, but my thoughts keep returning to the upcoming meeting. How will Marion react when she sees me in the director's chair? Will she be furious? Shocked? Will she try to undermine my authority in some way? At 13:55, there is a knock on the door. I inhale deeply, preparing myself for the inevitable. "Come in," I say in the calmest tone I can muster. The door opens, and in walks, not Marion. It's a young woman with red hair pulled back into a sloppy ponytail. "Hello, Miss Torkildsen," she says. "I'm Haley Baxter, marketing specialist. Mr. Durant sent me to discuss our new campaign with you." I try to hide my surprise. "Of course, Miss Baxter. Have a seat. Tell me how I can help. We spend the next hour discussing our new marketing campaign and related security issues. Haley proves to be knowledgeable and a pleasure to talk to." When she leaves, I sit, puzzled. Where is Marion? Why didn't she come to the meeting? Maybe she's not as important an employee as I thought. The answer comes the next day when I go down to the cafeteria for lunch. As I choose my food, I hear a familiar voice. "Yes, we plan to launch the campaign in 2 weeks. My idea, by the way." I slowly turn around and see Marion sitting at a table with a few coworkers. She's speaking loudly so that those around her can hear her. Typical Marion. I quickly turn away, hoping she hasn't noticed me, but something makes me move closer and listen to the conversation. "Of course," Marion continues, "Durant didn't want to even consider the idea at first, but I insisted, and now everyone's thrilled. I told you I had a flair for this sort of thing." Her coworkers nod politely, but you can see on their faces that this isn't the first time they've heard this story. "What about security counseling?" one of them asks. Haley says the new security director has been very helpful with the planning. "Oh." Marion waves her hand nonchalantly. "That's all technical stuff. Someone has to check the codes and all that boring stuff. It's all about the idea, and it's mine." I can feel the irritation rising inside. Boring stuff? The security of millions of users' data is just a technical detail to her? "By the way, who is the new director?" another colleague asks. "I hear she's pretty young." "I have no idea," Marion shrugs. "Some computer genius, I guess. Grimes has always been obsessed with security. But between you and me," she lowers her voice, and I have to strain to hear, "I don't see why you'd pay that kind of money to someone who just sits around writing codes. Half the security department could be cut and no one would even notice." I can feel the blood rushing to my face. Typical Marion, talking with aplomb about things she knows nothing about. "Excuse me," one of my coworkers says suddenly, noticing me. "Is there anything we can do for you?" I realize I'm standing too close to their table. Marion turns and our gazes meet. Her face shows several emotions in succession: surprise, confusion, and finally recognition. "Adrienne?" Her voice sounds disbelieving. "What are you doing here?" I decide at this point that I'm not ready for full disclosure. Not here, not now, not in front of her coworkers. "Hi, Marion," I say calmly. "I'm just having lunch. I didn't realize you were here too." You work at NextSec?" She looks like she's seen a ghost. "Yeah," I answer shortly. "I just started." "In what capacity?" she asks, and I see a mixture of curiosity and anxiety in her eyes. "IT," I say, deciding not to tell the whole truth just yet. "Security consultant." Marion visibly relaxes. "Oh, there you go. Well, that's, unexpected. But I'm glad you finally found a real job." She smiles her indulgent smile. "Thank you," I reply dryly. "Enjoy your meal." I step away quickly, deciding to eat lunch in my office. I need time to think about this meeting. For the next week, I carefully avoid Marion, focusing on working with my team. I meet with each employee individually, reviewing current projects, analyzing threats. The team is slowly getting used to me, and I feel like I'm gaining their trust. But thoughts of Marion keep me on my toes. I know that sooner or later the truth will come out, and I still haven't decided what to do. Part of me wants to use my position to put her in her place, to avenge years of humiliation. The other part reminds me that I'm a professional, and personal scores shouldn't influence my decisions. Friday morning, as I'm going over the reports on the latest penetration tests, Leah walks into my office looking worried. "Miss Thorkildsen, we have a problem," she says without preamble. "The marketing department wants to launch a new campaign that involves collecting users' personal data through a mobile app, but there are serious vulnerabilities in their plan. We've pointed these out, but they insist on their approach." "Who exactly is insisting?" I ask, even though I'm already guessing the answer. "Marion Thorkildsen, their lead on the campaign. She says we're exaggerating the risks and slowing down the process." I sigh. Of course it's Marion. It's always Marion. "Show me their plan," I say. Leah holds out a clipboard of documents to me. I look through them and immediately see the problem. The app is requesting excessive permissions, storing data unencrypted and sending it to an unprotected server. This is a security disaster. "It's unacceptable," I say, handing the tablet back. "We can't run it like this." "I know," Leah nods. "But Miss Thorkildsen is very insistent. She's already approached Mr. Durant, and he's leaning toward her side. I'll talk to them," I decide. "Arrange a meeting for today." "Already done," Leah says with relief. 14 o'clock, conference room C. "Thank you, Leah. I'll take care of it." After she leaves, I lean back in my chair, contemplating the confrontation ahead. I have no choice now. I have to face Marion in my official capacity, and I must decide how to use my power. Part of me wants to humiliate her as she's humiliated me for years, make her feel small and stupid, show everyone how incompetent she is. But the other part knows that would be unprofessional. I'm not here to settle personal scores. I'm here to protect the company and its users. And if I let personal feelings influence my decisions, I'll be no better than Marion. I think back to all the times Marion mocked my hobby, when she told my parents I was just wasting my time, when she humiliated me in front of my friends. And I realize that revenge is what the hurt little girl inside me wants. But I'm not that girl anymore. I'm a professional, a security director, and I have to act accordingly. At 14 o'clock, I walk into conference room C, ready for an important conversation. But I'm still undecided. Should I use my power for revenge, or should I act professionally? Both paths have consequences, and the choice I make today will determine not only my relationship with Marion, but also my future at the company. When I walked into conference room C, everyone was already assembled. Kevin Durant, director of marketing, was sitting at the head of the table with Marion and 2 other people from her team next to him. On the other side of the table were Leah and Brandon from my department. The conversation stopped abruptly when I stepped through the door. "Here's Miss Thorkildsen," Durant said with a strained smile. "Now we can begin." I noticed Marion frown when she heard my last name. She turned her head and our gazes met. There was a look of bewilderment in her eyes. I'm sorry I'm late," I said, though I was actually on time. "Let's get started." I took a seat at the head of the table across from Durant. It was a deliberate gesture. I wanted to make my status clear from the start. "So," I began, "I've reviewed the marketing campaign plan and identified some serious security issues. Before we go any further, I'd like to clarify those points." "Miss Thorkildsen," Durant interrupted me, "I understand your concerns, but this campaign is critical to the company. We've already announced a launch date, and any delays could affect our financial performance." "I understand," I nodded. "But there are more important things than financials. For example, the security of our users' data and the company's reputation." "Excuse me," Marion interjected, looking at me with growing irritation. "But you're just a consultant, right? I think you're overstating your credentials." There was a tense silence in the room. Leah and Brandon exchanged glances. Durant coughed awkwardly. "Actually," he said, "Miss Thorkildsen is our new Director of Information Security." Marian stared at me, her face going pale, then red. What? But that's impossible. It's very possible, I replied calmly. And as such, I can't endorse the campaign in its current form. You're the director? Marian couldn't believe her ears. You're my boss? Technically, yes, I said. Because security is my responsibility, and I have the authority to block any initiative that jeopardizes the company's systems. Marian looked like she'd been punched. It took her a few seconds to gather her thoughts. This is some kind of joke, she finally said. My little sister can't be a principal. You haven't even graduated from college. Miss Torkildsen? Durant looked from me to Marian. Your sisters? Yes, I confirmed. But that has nothing to do with our current conversation. Let's focus on the security issues. Problems? Marian snorted, clearly trying to regain control of the situation. What you call problems are standard industry practices. Everyone collects user data. Collecting it, yes, I agreed, but not storing it unencrypted on unprotected servers. That's a direct violation of not only security standards, but several data protection laws. That's an exaggeration, Marian said. No one hacks into such systems. In fact, Leah interjected, according to recent reports, these are the systems most often targeted. Last month alone, 3 companies suffered data breaches due to such vulnerabilities. What do you suggest? Durant asked, ignoring the growing tension between Marian and me. Postpone the launch? No, I replied. I suggest we modify the system. We can keep the basic idea of the campaign, but change the way the data is collected and stored. My department has already prepared an alternative plan that will provide the necessary level of security. I nodded to Brandon, and he handed out copies of the document we had prepared in advance. This will require additional resources, one of the marketing people said as he looked over the plan. Not much, I countered, especially compared to the potential losses from a data breach. Fines for violating privacy laws can run into the millions of dollars, not to mention the reputational damage. Marian listened to us with ill-concealed rage. I could see her clenching her fists under the table. This is sabotage, she finally blurted out. You're just trying to undermine my work. Miss Torkildsen! Durant snapped at her. It's unprofessional. Unprofessional? Marian raised her voice. Unprofessional is when your sister, who just yesterday was sitting in her pajamas at your parents' house, suddenly becomes your boss and starts telling you how to do your job. Marian? My voice remained calm. Your personal feelings are irrelevant. The fact is, the system you're proposing is not safe. And as director of security, I can't approve it. You've always been like this, Marian continued, ignoring Durant's attempts to calm her down. Always thought you were smarter than everyone else. But you know what? In the real world, it's not your hacking tricks that matter. It's your ability to work with people, to create something that makes the company money. In the real world, I replied, feeling my patience wearing thin, it's important not to put the company at risk of lawsuits and data breaches. And if you're incapable of understanding that, maybe you should rethink your professional competence. Marian jumped up from her seat. You dare not talk to me like that. You... That's enough. Durant slammed his palm on the table. This is a business meeting, not a domestic dispute. Miss Torkildsen. He looked at Marian, then at me, clearly embarrassed. Director Torkildsen, your concerns are understandable. I agree that security must be a priority. We will make the necessary changes to the plan. What? Marian looked like she'd been betrayed. Kevin, you can't. I can, and I will, Durant said. This decision is non-negotiable. We're implementing the alternative plan proposed by the security department. Marian sank back in her chair, defeated, but still seething with anger. The rest of the meeting passed in a tense atmosphere. We discussed the technical details of the changes, timelines, and resources. Marian barely participated in the conversation, casting occasional venomous glances at me. When the meeting was over, Durant held us both up. I don't know what's going on between you two, and frankly, I'm not interested, but I expect you both to behave professionally in the workplace. Is that clear? Of course, I nodded. Marian just walked silently out of the room. Back in my office, I felt a strange mixture of satisfaction and anxiety. I had won the professional battle, but the personal war with Marion was just beginning, and I knew she wouldn't give up so easily. My fears were confirmed the very next day. In the morning, I found a letter in my mail from Grimes asking me to stop by his office as soon as possible. When I entered his office, he looked worried. "Miss Torkildsen," he began without preamble, "I've received a complaint from a member of the marketing department. He claims you're blocking their projects because of a personal vendetta." "Let me guess," I said. "My sister filed the complaint." Grimes raised his eyebrows in surprise. "So it's true? Marion Thorkildsen is your sister?" "Yes," I admitted, "but I didn't block the project for personal reasons. There were indeed serious security problems in their plan." I explained the situation in detail, showing the reports and risk assessments we had prepared. Grimes listened carefully and, to my relief, nodded. "I believe you," he said. "But you should have informed me of your relationship right away. It creates a conflict of interest." "I know," I sighed. "And I was going to tell you, but I didn't have time. It all happened too fast." "I understand." Grimes nodded. "Well, now we must decide how to proceed. Obviously, you can't directly control the projects your sister is involved in. That would create constant tension." "I could delegate the job to Leah or Brandon," I suggested. "They are both competent and can make objective decisions." "That's a good idea," Grimes agreed. "But there's another problem. Miss Thorkildsen, your sister, she's filed another complaint. A more serious one this time." I tensed up. "What kind of complaint?" "She claims she found unauthorized access to her work computer and insinuates that it could have been you using your, as she puts it, hacking skills." I couldn't believe my ears. "That's absurd. I would never—" "I know," Grimes interrupted me. "I don't believe it for a second, but the accusation has been made, and we have to conduct an internal investigation. It's standard procedure." "Of course." I nodded, feeling the anger building inside me. "I'm cooperating fully with the investigation. Thank you for your understanding," Grimes said. "And one more thing. Maybe you should talk to your sister. In person. Resolve this conflict before it gets out of hand." I nodded, though I doubted talking to Marion would change anything. She was always stubborn and never admitted her mistakes. Leaving Grimes' office, I headed straight for the marketing department. It was time to put an end to this madness. Marion was sitting at her desk, typing something on her computer. When she saw me, her face contorted with distaste. "We need to talk," I said. "Alone." "I have nothing to say to you." She cut me off. "But I have something to say to you," I insisted. "And believe me, you'll want to hear it." Marion rose reluctantly and followed me into the nearest meeting room. I closed the door and turned to her. "Why are you doing this?" I asked bluntly. "Why are you accusing me of hacking into your computer?" "Didn't you?" Marion crossed her arms over her chest. "Who else could have done it?" "No one," I answered. "Because there was no hacking. You made it up." "Prove it," she said defiantly. "You don't have to prove anything." I shook my head. "The investigation will show that there was no unauthorized access. And then you'll be the liar who tried to set up a coworker." "A coworker?" Marion snorted. "You're not a colleague. You're a mistake. A misunderstanding. You shouldn't be here." "But I am here," I said firmly. "And unlike you, I've earned my place. Not by scheming, not by lying, but by real skills and hard work." Marion laughed. "Do you really believe that? You think your skills are worth anything? You just happen to be in the right place at the right time. It's luck, nothing more." I looked at my sister and suddenly realized that she really thinks that way. To her, my success is an accident, an anomaly. She's incapable of admitting that I might be better than her at something. "You know what, Marion?" I said calmly. "I feel sorry for you, I really do. You're so wrapped up in your ego that you can't see reality. You've always thought you were special, the best. But in reality, you're a mediocrity who only survives through intrigue and manipulation." Marion turned pale. "How dare you?" "I dare," I interrupted her, "because it's true. And deep down inside, you know it. That's why you're trying to destroy me, because I'm proof of your failure." "You haven't proved anything," Marian hissed. "You're just an upstart who became your boss," I finished for her. "Get over it, and stop your pathetic attempts to undermine my authority. They're only hurting you." Marian looked at me with undisguised hatred. "This isn't over, Adrienne. I won't let you." This is the end, Marian," I said firmly. "For your own good, I hope you realize that." I turned and left the room, leaving my sister seething with anger. The next few days passed in tense anticipation. The investigation into the break-in continued, but I didn't bother. There was no evidence because there was no crime itself. Meanwhile, I was completely absorbed in my work, trying not to think about Marian. But on the fourth day after our conversation, the unexpected happened. Brandon burst into my office with a look of panic on his face. "Miss Torkildsen, we have a problem. A serious problem." "What's wrong?" I asked, instantly switching to work mode. "Someone has launched that very marketing campaign, the original version, with unprotected servers and unencrypted data. It's already active online." I felt the blood drain from my face. "How is that possible? I mean, we blocked that project." "I don't know." Brandon shook his head. "But someone bypassed all our security protocols and ran it on their own." "Marian," I whispered. "It had to be her." I immediately contacted Grimes and explained the situation. He ordered an immediate halt to the campaign and called an emergency management meeting. An hour later, we were all sitting in the main conference room. Me, Grimes, Durant, the head of development, and the other directors. Marian was there too, with a defiant expression on her face. "Miss Torkildsen," Grimes began, looking at Marian, "do you understand what has happened?" "Of course," she replied with feigned incomprehension. "We've launched our marketing campaign. Isn't that what we had planned?" "We planned to launch a modified version," Durant reminded her, "with enhanced security. Who gave you permission to run the original?" "I don't need permission to do my job," Marian snapped back. "Security took too long to make the modifications. We've been wasting time and money." "Do you realize you've put the company at great risk?" Grimes asked. "We're already receiving reports of suspicious activity on the servers. The data leak may have already begun." Marian turned pale. "That's impossible. The system has to be secure." "It has to be," I agreed. "But not in the version you're running. We warned you about that." Grimes took a deep breath. "This is a serious violation of company protocols, Miss Torkildsen. I'm going to have to suspend you pending an internal investigation." "What?" Marian was outraged. "You can't—" "I can and I will," Grimes said. "Your actions have jeopardized not only the reputation of the company, but also the security of our customers' data. This is unacceptable." Marian looked at me angrily. "You did this! You set this whole thing up." "No, Marian," I shook my head. "You did it yourself. Your pride, your stubbornness, your unwillingness to admit that you might be wrong." After the meeting, Grimes asked me to linger. "Miss Torkildsen? Adrienne? I realize this is a difficult situation because of your family ties, but I want you to know that the company appreciates your work and your professionalism." "Thank you." I nodded. "What will happen to Marian?" "That depends on the outcome of the investigation," Grimes sighed. "But given the seriousness of the offense, I wouldn't rule out termination." I nodded, feeling a strange emptiness inside. I didn't want it to end this way. Despite our differences, Marian was still my sister. "Could I talk to her?" I asked her. "Alone, before a final decision is made." Grimes thought for a moment, then nodded. "Okay. But remember, this is no longer a family matter. It's a matter of company security." "I understand. I found Marian in her office. She was packing up her things in preparation for her suspension." "You here to gloat?" she said when she saw me. "No," I shook my head. "I came to talk. I have nothing to say to you." "Then just listen," I said, closing the door behind me. "Marian, what you did, it's serious. Grimes is considering firing you. And you, of course, support that decision." She grinned bitterly. "I don't know," I admitted honestly. "Part of me thinks you deserve it. The other part, you're my sister after all." Marian looked at me in surprise. "You'd stand up for me? After all I've done?" "I don't know," I said again. But I want you to understand the gravity of the situation. If you write a letter of resignation, it will look better on your resume than being fired for violating safety protocols." Marian was silent, pondering my words. "What's in return?" she finally asked. "What do you want?" I pulled an envelope out of my bag and placed it on the table. "Nothing. Just read this when you write your application." "What is it?" Marian asked suspiciously. "You'll find out when you open it," I said and left the office. There were 2 documents in the envelope. The first was a printout of the system logs, showing how and when Marian had bypassed the security protocols to launch the campaign, irrefutable evidence of her guilt. The second document was a letter I'd written last night, anticipating that Marian might pull something like this. "Marian, all my life you have looked down on me. You thought I was a loser, a weirdo who was wasting her time on computer toys. You never believed in me, never supported me. Even when I was successful, you found ways to devalue my accomplishments. Today you found out I'm your boss, and instead of being happy for your sister, you did everything you could to undermine my authority and hurt me. You know what the sad part is? I could have gotten back at you. I could have used my power to humiliate you like you've been humiliating me for years. I could convince Grimes to fire you for your antics. But I won't. Not because I'm noble or generous. It's because I don't want to be like you. I don't want to build my prosperity on humiliating others. In this envelope is evidence of your guilt. I could use it against you, but instead I'm giving it to you. Do with them as you wish. Destroy them if you see fit. I won't prevent your dismissal if Grimes decides to do so, but I won't insist on it. It will be his decision based on facts, not my personal feelings. I hope someday you'll realize that success isn't measured by how many people you've managed to crush along the way. Real success is respect for yourself and others, honest work, and the ability to admit your mistakes. Adrienne. The next day, Marian tendered her resignation at her own request. We never spoke again. She avoided me until her last day at the company. Her parents, of course, were furious when they found out. They called me, accusing me of ruining my sister's career. I listened to them silently, not trying to justify myself. They wouldn't have believed me anyway. A week after Marian was fired, I received a short message from her. "I found a new job in another city. I'm leaving." I didn't reply. What could I say? "Good luck? I'm happy for you?" That would have been hypocritical. My relationship with my family remained strained. Sunday dinners became less frequent, and then stopped altogether. My parents couldn't forgive me for what had happened to Marian, even though they never knew the truth. But the strange thing was, it didn't bother me anymore. For the first time in my life, I didn't need their approval. I knew who I was and what I was worth. My team respected me, Grimes appreciated my work, and even Durant recognized that I was right about the security issues. I bought a small house near the office and moved out of my parents' house. Tasha helped me settle in, excited about my new independence. "You know," she said one day as we sat on the terrace with glasses of wine, "I always knew you would succeed, but I didn't expect it to be so dramatic." I grinned. Neither did I. But maybe it was meant to be. Maybe I needed to go through this to finally accept myself. "And how did it feel?" Tasha asked. I wondered, staring at the sunset over Round Rock. "Free," I finally answered. I felt free. And it was true. Free from expectations, from having to prove my worth, from wanting the approval of those who never really understood me. I had found my way, and it may not be the same as anyone else's, but it's mine. And I will no longer let anyone, family or society, convince me that I should be someone else. After all, success isn't about what others see in you. It's what you know about yourself.